Welcome to the Market Bull. I'm Sarah Powell, and joining me is CEO Oliver Friesen from Golden Metal Resources. Oliver, thank you for joining us.
Hey Sarah, how are you doing?
It's been fantastic to see work really getting underway since the listing, and lots of positive news flow, including the 100% owned Pilot Mountain project announcement relating to the IP survey. Very exciting. Can you summarise the key points from this?
Yeah, absolutely. And you nailed it there, Sarah. There's been a lot of news coming out of the company. We've been very busy behind the scenes. We're looking forward to push forward across multiple parts of our company and portfolio. And the news that we put out today, I think, is very important to cover. And as you mentioned, we've completed the IP geophysics at our flagship Pilot Mountain project. The main takeaways are the fact that we've identified 3 very high priority exploration targets. And the reason that this is so important and the results presented today is at Pilot Mountain, we currently have what is the largest undeveloped tungsten resource in the United States of America, which stands at 12.53 million tons at 0.27% tungsten trioxide. So very important, very strategic in-ground resource right now. However, being an exploration company, when we first acquired this project almost 2 years ago, it was really the exploration upside, the ability to increase the in-ground resources significantly is what originally attracted us to this project. The previous operators actually put out a study, which was kind of based on some work that they had done, where they postulated between 11 and 23 million tons of additional resources that could be at Pilot Mountain. And I think with the work that we've done today, we've certainly proven that is likely to be the case. And with some of the targets that we've identified, I think there's some very exciting potential there. We're looking forward to going and doing further exploration. So the main takeaway points I'm going to be covering actually in a quick sort of technical video that I do following releases, where I kind of break down the really important points for investors and listeners. But just for instance, at the Desert Scheelite Parallel West Zone, and I encourage listeners to go and have a look at the RNS put out today, some of those figures. At the Desert Scheelite Parallel West Zone alone, if investors go have a look at that, you'll see that there's a resistivity low feature, which essentially is a dark blue outline with a white dash line, which is located towards the east of a much larger resistivity low feature. And the important thing to note there is that eastern resistivity low feature that I mentioned is the host of the current in-ground resource at Desert Scheelite, which is approximately 10.7 million tons. So almost 85% of the total in-ground resources at Desert Scheelite are located within that one kind of dark blue outline that you'll see in the RNS. However, and the important thing to note here is we've now identified a larger sub-parallel body located towards the west, about 250 meters away, which has never been drilled. And the reason that finding that anomaly is so significant is it has almost the identical geophysical signature as the Desert Scheelite geophysical signature. So when we're doing geophysics over an existing in-ground resource, we can match up and we can look at exactly what geophysical signature is coincident with your in-ground resources. And then we look for that same signature elsewhere on the property. And to find a larger anomaly, only 250 meters away from Desert Scheelite, which is larger than what hosts the majority of the in-ground resource at Pilot Mountain, is obviously a very significant development. And that's just one of the targets. So I encourage investors to go look at the RNS, keep an eye on our Twitter page, where I'll be breaking down all 3 of these targets, all of which I believe are very significant.
Thank you for breaking those points down, and we'll look forward to the other breakdowns that you mentioned. Now, can we talk about the opportunity for tungsten? Why is it so significant, and what will the newly appointed advisor bring to the table in respect to critical minerals?
Yeah, of course. So the critical mineral strategy right now is sort of, I think it's front and center for a lot of investors right now. How can I get exposure to this new mandate, which is really countries looking to bolster and domesticate and secure supply chains of battery, critical, and defense metals. So it's a very hot button issue right now. I think it's going to remain a very important thesis going forward here as countries realize the need they have to have their own domestic and safe supplies of these very important metals. Tungsten is very much one of those metals. The reason being, China currently produces and mines more than 80% of total global tungsten supply. So when China has an absolute stranglehold on the tungsten market, countries like the US are looking to diversify away and say, how can we domesticate and get our own supplies, safe supplies of these metals. The other reason why tungsten is so important is because it has significant military applications. And something that investors and listeners should note is that as of January 1st, 2026, so less than 2.5 years from now, the DoD, the Department of Defense in the US, has actually banned the imports of all tungsten products from China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. So when you ban your largest import partner of a metal, I can just let the listeners do the math as to what that could potentially do to the pricing. But that's a very exciting position for us to be in, because the US currently does not have any domestic primary production. So there's no active tungsten mines in the US. And here we are with the largest undeveloped tungsten resource in the US, which is 100% owned, I might add. And on top of that, with the results we put out today, I think it's very clear there's the potential to significantly increase the size of the in-ground resources at Pilot Mountain, making this asset even more strategic and critical than it is right now.
Well, we can certainly see the potential, and it's helpful to understand the wider market context. Next, can you tell us what is the main funding pool that you'll be looking to tap into and why?
Yeah, of course. Great question, Sarah. So the important thing to note is that the U.S. government is really getting behind this movement right now. It's really the first time, I think, ever that it's been this way, where the U.S. government, especially a democratic government, is really getting behind here and saying, no, we want to support mining. We want these exploration and development projects to go forward, with the ultimate goal and desire for those metals to be mined in the United States and then enter directly into U.S. supply chains. So it's a really, really important kind of mandate that's shifted here. And obviously the timing for us could really not be better. And as I mentioned, there's multiple funding pools that are available. And with Ms. Turkmani, as you mentioned previously, as a strategic advisor to the company, we're working very closely to identify the main funding pools of which we have the best chance of success. One of those is through the Department of Defense. As I mentioned, tungsten has significant military applications. And as I mentioned, the DoD has banned the import of tungsten in about 2.5 years' time. So the DoD is now looking to secure safe sources of tungsten, which is a really exciting proposition for us. So through the DoD, there's multiple funding pools. One of them is what's called the DPA Title III, which is a very specific funding pool. It has, I believe, about $250 million for this fiscal year. And those funds are earmarked for exploration and development projects located on US soil, which are looking to explore and produce metals which go into the defense industries. So there's a select list of effectively defense metals, and obviously tungsten has significant military applications. So that's one of the main funding pools that we think we're looking to push forward. It's one that is sort of specifically earmarked for projects like Pilot Mountain. So what we're going to do is with Chang appointed now as an advisor as of yesterday. We're working very closely with her to develop our strategy, our grant funding strategy. There's lots of money available. You have to know sort of who to talk to and which departments have funding that would be specifically eligible for your project and your company. DPA Title III is one that we're very excited about, but there's others, and what we want to do is make sure that we're applying for every specific grant of which we could get access to. So it's a really important part of the business. These grants that are being awarded are non-dilutionary funds. It's not repayable, it's not a loan. So it allows us to really push forward and fast track exploration and development using the funds from the US government, with the ultimate goal by the US government for this project to enter into development and into the mining scenario with those metals entering the US supply chain. So it's a really exciting development for us, being a US focused company with projects located 100% in the United States and in Nevada. With all these funding pools becoming available, it's also important to note that the US government, compared to any government in the world, is deploying the most amount of capital to these grant funds for critical battery and defense metals. So we're in a very exciting and fortuitous position. We're looking forward to putting out an RNS, hopefully in the near future here, outlining what those plans look like, outlining what the potential outcomes could be, and what we're doing to hopefully secure some of these grant funds to really fast track exploration and development at our flagship asset.
Oliver, it's great to see such enthusiasm. We can't wait to see how you get on in hopefully securing some of that funding, and look forward to another update in due course.
Amazing. Thanks for chatting, Sarah, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon.